Hello and welcome back to the Ruby Dickulous Show. I'm your host, Ruby Dickulous. That's right. Today's the No Kings protest, and I say no McDonald's. I will have Burger Kings only. We're also going to talk about Trump bringing down drug pricing. Nobody seems to care. We'll talk about United's pulling out of 100 counties. These are things we've talked about on this show before. And then we'll talk about sticks and stones. Stay tuned.
She's Ruby Dickulous. She's Ruby Dickulous. She's Ruby Dickulous. Please welcome the mouth of the South, Ruby Dickulous.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We've got a lot to talk about. My crown has fallen. I am no longer the Burger King or Burger Queen. Depending on how much you hate drag queens, you'll probably call me a king in the comments. I do want to talk about this No Kings protest. I understand that a lot of people are very angry and a lot of people are very frustrated with the cost of living in this country. Now, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that both sides of the spectrum are having serious economic problems. People can't afford to pay for housing. There's a growing homeless population that we keep trying to hide. The corporations are killing small business, and that's not what we're in the streets for. We're not in the streets saying we don't want corporations having influence on politics. Do you think that if this protest was overturned Citizens United, it would have a little more oomph, a little more bite to it? Maybe that would change the power that the Supreme Court has when they declared that corporations are people. Overturning Citizens United would be one of the most powerful, returning power back to the people. Currently, this country is a corporatocracy heading towards a corporate police state. Literally. Like, let me read to you what a corporate police state is. Okay, a corporate police state combines the oppressive control of a police state with the power of corporations, where private interests and state power are intertwined to suppress dissent and protect corporate profits, often through surveillance, hello, Palantir, or private security and the use of police forces. Sound familiar? So let's go down. Key characteristics of a corporate police state: commingling of state and corporate power. Seems like that's happening. We live in a techno-feudalistic society, meaning we have to bow to these corporate tech oligarchs. I was like, what is this? This is my straw. We have use of force and surveillance. That's only going to increase with AI. Suppression of dissent happening. Worker control, and we've been under worker control. COVID definitely helped bring that in. The virus definitely helped bring that in. And so, one of the things that I think that a protest should be, I don't know, maybe the most important part of a protest would be to bring the power of the people. So on the website, it says no thrones, no crowns, no kings. Don't you think the most effective way that 10 million people to empower themselves is to, couldn't you agree that maybe, just maybe, that 10 million people coming together to push back at corporations taking power and consolidation and the death of small business and the death of the middle class? And I don't know what a No Kings protest accomplishes. What does it accomplish? Not much, because it's the second one. Well, what did the first one accomplish? It claims to have done something, but there's no proof of it. So I guess my question is that it seems like it's just to let a little steam off. Kind of, I think QAnon was like a channel to keep that anger and frustrations and could be violence channeled into conspiracy. And it seems like the Democrats and the corporations on the other side are using a protest, and ineffective, with no meaning, no legislative suggestions, No calling out corporations or billionaires, just no kings. Okay, well, in America, corporations are king. This is a corporatocracy. If you wanted to get back at Trump because you think 10 million people in the street and the optics of that is what is going to anger Trump to step down. The best way to get back at corporate America is to literally fight about corporations. You would call out the corporations' influence, the pharmaceutical industries. I mean, here's something that Trump did positively that a lot of the left doesn't want to acknowledge. You know, he announced that he was Pfizer, AstraZeneca. They were all going to bring pricing down. Pfizer was going to pull out of the Medicaid. Let's look that up. All right. So Pfizer's agreed to lower its prescription drug prices for state Medicaid programs. And if y'all remember on this show, I talked about that. I talked exactly about that about a week before Pfizer announced that. Is that about 15 years ago in healthcare, I saw that Medicaid was covering name brand Valtrex for Medicaid recipients, but would require prior authorization for a generic for the Champ VA. And weeks later, Trump announces that Pfizer's agreed to lower drug prices. That's a good thing. We are working with corporations to bring down their prices instead of calling for the end of corporations. That's not going to happen in America, but it is going to bring down the cost of insurance, hopefully, because the cost of medication is exactly why the cost of insurance is so high. These pharmacy benefit managers and the middlemen have created the outrageous cost of drugs and health insurance. Health insurance has to cover the cost of those drugs, and the taxpayers end up paying for these rebate cards, or the drug companies do through their advertising, but we pay for research and development. We're going to have either bring prices up around the world, or we are going to have lower pricing, which that's a good thing. That's not a king thing, right? We can agree. No kingsies. And then let's talk a little bit about, some follow-up to the United Healthcare. I talked about it on this show that 77% of the Q2 shows that between ACA subsidies and the subsidies that go to the insurance companies to manage Medicare and Medicaid contracts were taxpayer funded. That's 77% of United's revenue. Well, it looks like they're pulling out of 110 counties. Let's see here. Oh, fuck me. Okay, so here's one. United Healthcare to exit Medicare Advantage plans in 109 U.S. counties. That is phenomenal. That United Healthcare said it would stop offering Medicare Advantage plans in 109 counties. That would impact 180,000 members. It would bring down, from my research, that it would bring down 20% of their revenue from taxpayers by pulling out of those counties. That's a good thing. Those are things that have happened in just a couple of weeks of talking about it on the show. And I've been talking about that stuff for decades. Now, that's not a king. So bringing down drug prices is a good thing. If that in turn brings down insurance prices as well, that's a great thing. So we need to be able to call out great things when they happen, right? And we're going to take to the streets and say, no kings. Well, someone's calling these corporations and making a deal and telling them they have to make their product affordable. They can't keep this end-stage capitalism game going and ride it till the wheels fall off. It's bankrupting our country. We can't pay the interest on our debt. Most of the taxes that come out of your check go to pay the debt. That's just like an American family that's buried in credit card debt and continues to add more to the credit card debt and just pay interest. What do you think is going to happen? So when we say no kings, we can't ignore the fact that at least currently there is a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The people have returned to a leveled country, or if an open air prison, if you call it. Now, this is progress. We do tend to let countries create chaos and then we have to beg them for order. That tends to be the cycle in controlling populations. And so, I just don't understand when we talk about no kings, this isn't a grassroots movement. There's not really who's funding it, So I wanted to go to the Nate Friedman show. Now he looks into paid protesters, and this protest, I mean, it looks like the signs were delivered from FedEx.
All right, guys, we're going to the paid protester meeting right now. All the signs are there, and they're discussing what's going to be happening at this protest.
I mean, watch this. This is insane. Those signs are all the same. They're all bundled up. Those were not made at home. And watch
How's it going? Is this where the protest is starting?
Yeah.
What's the plan for today?
Sorry, we can't really talk right now because we're setting up.
How come? How come you can't talk? How come you can't talk?
We're setting up the protest. We're just
Setting up?
come back later.
Oh, so what are we discussing?
We talked to a press person.
Who's the press person?
I don't know right now, but I can
So,
find out for you.
are there press people? When you make your sign at home and you go out to the No Kings protest, that's you doing it. Where do these signs come from? Well, I'll cut to the chase here. The Nate Friedman show did a really good job at looking into the funding. And, you know, I used to hear people say George Soros and it was a conspiracy theory. Well, it's not. I mean, there's like 20 to $30 million being funded or funneled towards paid protesters. So that's not necessarily, those are corporations. I mean, who do you think gives donations to the ACLU and to Human Rights Campaign? That's who's funding the No Kings protest, right? That's who's organizing these things. So I don't really know where we're supposed to go with that, other than the message isn't there. There's not a message. There's no message, right? What are you protesting? You're protesting a king. There's a judicial branch checking him. The media is supposed to serve as a check and balance, so that's good. But overall, there's not much. Now, you know, America doesn't seem to protest the invasions of democratically elected leaders. A lot of South America and a lot of countries have had democratically elected leaders. For example, Ukraine in 2014, when there was heavy influence in overthrowing the president of Ukraine, the most corrupt country in Europe, to elect a comedian and then funnel billions of dollars to Ukraine, which obviously we had a lot of people standing there with their hands out that came right back to the Democratic Party. So, you know, this is why NGO funding was cut. I mean, when you zoom out and look, a lot of the progress Trump has made, and I didn't vote for Trump, but I like to look at things objectively. I mean, we're heading into a surveillance state where we're going to live in one big HOA, so we might as well have a little bit of an understanding of what's happening. And when we don't protest the invasions of foreign countries and we say we're spreading and we're saving democracy, America is guilty of overthrowing democracy worldwide. Okay, so did we go in the streets for that? Were there 10 million people asking for universal health care? Nope. And a lot of this has to go back to the Smith-Monk Act. Now, I heard about this when Obama repealed the Smith-Monk Act in 2013. It really ended the firewall between foreign propaganda and domestic. The government was suddenly free to use its own messaging machines on its own citizens. What used to be called public diplomacy abroad became a narrative management at home. And now you've got people marching state-approved slogans crafted by the same agencies that once sold democracy overseas. The revolution being televised, scripted, and sponsored by our own tax dollars. And right now, we're currently in a government shutdown. Now, that's due to the Constitution. If we had a king, he would open the government, right? Wouldn't be blaming it on the Democrats because they won't come to the table and vote. So, again, we have three co-equal branches of government. I just think the protest is a little divisionary. I think it's very divisionary. I think it's to find your people and get out in the streets and blow some steam off. But you're not going to get corporations out of healthcare. You're not going to get small businesses back. You're not really going to bring the power back to the people by just saying no kings and getting your steps in, brought to you by Fitbit, now owned by Google. So I think I'm just a little too objective for some people. You know, I say this online, and then I have people that I know have always hated me. Suddenly they come out. They've never said anything to me, but I hear from their friends that they hate me. I post my opinion, and then they start attacking me. And I don't care. Do it on this show for the algorithm. And so it's like, I don't care about what people have to say. It's never bothered me. You know, the funniest thing is most people attack my appearance. I don't care. I'm confident in how I look. And I don't really care, because at the end of the day, no one has the right message and nobody's doing the right thing. It's not progress to stand. I love protesting. Let's protest. But let's protest for something. Okay? Not against something. You protest for something, not against something. In the state of this country, you have to stand on business, because it's a corporatocracy. You've got to have a business. And even protesting is a business. So I think my opinion is that you should call out Citizens United. We should make sure the press steps aside from their corporate interests, because they're supposed to serve as a check and balance on the government, not a mouthpiece for corporations, until Trump gets in office, and then they want to be journalists. And so I think everybody's guilty of caring too much about what people say instead of actions. You know, I grew up with a mother that taught me common sense, or wanted me to have common sense. But one of the messages I remember very loud and clear was, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words could never hurt me. And for some reason, the current generation forgot to teach their kids that. Because for everyone to think that words are violence, or that hate speech requires bullets, shows that we skipped one of the Mother Goose nursery rhymes or stories that have a message. And that message is that words have power and they have meaning, but they are not violence. You do not meet words with violence. So I think we missed one of the core messages to teach our children, and that's, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And that's the Ruby Dickulous Show.